All right, welcome back to another episode of My Paper Time Machine. I'm your host, EJ Parker. Welcome to my channel. Please subscribe if you have not. We do all kinds of stuff kind of similar to this. This is a Ozzy Osbourne on a Guitar World magazine from 1998. I found this at let me see here, August 1998. Guitar World. I found this at a local thrift store, and I found a few magazines from the 90s. I just did one on Nirvana Unplugged, and then we lost Ozzy. This is being filmed in 2025, in the fall, or like November 2025. We lost Ozzy Osbourne, and on, I believe it was June or July 22nd of 2025. It shocked everyone. He was a icon of, of pop music, right? I know as a kid he was the heavy metal guy on MTV, drugs and crazy parties like that. And then in the 90s, he kept rocking, and he did that show on MTV, like the Osbournes, and that was the show you'd catch your mom watching, because like a millionaire's lifestyle with Ozzy, just like stumbling around, just being himself. Anyhow, so let's check this out. 98. That's that was the year I graduated high school. So this is right in my wheelhouse of pop culture. So let's jump on in right away. Eric Clapton, bam. I'm learning more and more about Eric Clapton. I've always, of course, known him from his Unplugged album and, all that stuff before it, blues and the rock stuff and Cream. And, but then now I'm like watching some interviews. Now that it's getting colder out, I'm inside more, watching, interviews on YouTube, famous guys and gals, and he's an interesting guy. He was always kind of like insecure of his spot in the world, but his fame propelled him through those tough times of alcohol and drugs. I worked on the Tommy Dorsey Orchestra. I played bass. This is like 2001. And a trombone player that I worked with from Chicago or from Milwaukee said he did like a session. He did a show with Eric Clapton once. It was like a big band, horns and stuff featuring Eric Clapton. And they're in New York on stage. It was like rehearsing for the show. A rehearsal, and the whole band set up waiting for Eric, and he's late. The whole band's just waiting on stage. Eric's late. Time goes by, and then Eric's manager comes in and says, "All right, guys, Eric Clapton's here," and Eric crawls into the room onto the stage. He was so drunk. Can you believe that? But like your legend propels you through these things, because you're like, oh my God, that guy's a legend. You can get away with that stuff. If you're a living legend, you got it made. I mean, can you crawl into your work drunk as fuck? No matter what you do, like literally crawl in the door. They'd be like, all right, dude, or dudette, turn that around. Let's try again tomorrow. Anyhow, Ernie Ball Strings. But yeah, Eric Clapton, he's more of like a kind of humble guy, and he just was in the right place at the right time. He's a great guitar player, the blues, rock kind of thing. But he's just kind of like, I can't believe it. He's still here, and he's where he is. I kind of like guys like that. And then you have your Yngwie Malmsteen, the polar opposite. But anyhow, that's another. I don't even know. Ernie Ball Strings. I used these up until I got sponsored by Diodario bass strings, and around around 2008 or 9 or 10, I forget. I always broke Ernie Ball Strings on my bass guitar. Once I switched to Diodario, I have never broke a string since I switched. I can't believe it. Anyhow, what we got? Complicated 1990s gear. This is 1998. The Samson wireless feature. Those, it's a thin gray line between success and failure on stage with these things. Battery dies. I've seen it a gazillion times. The singer looks like a damn fool, screaming into a microphone, and the mic's like, and then they're mad. Ibanez. My Ibanez, your Ibanez. Ibanez. There's all kinds of levels of Ibanez guitars and basses, all the way from garbage dump filler to really amazing works of art. Guys like Pat Metheny and John Scofield use them, so you can guys say more. This is what I use. Speaking of strings, here we go. I use the XLs on my bass guitar. But that never happened. I never had a chick drive up to me on a motorcycle and start making out with me. You gotta love the 90s. You know what I mean? If you were there, you were there, man. King of Soul. Who's this? Blues Brother. He's got some kind of... That's a Peavey. Like a Peavey telly looking thing. Steve. Who's this? Steve who? Where's Steve Creeper? Croper? Why they gotta make it so hard to get this poor guy's name on this freaking advertisement? See, Steve Croper. It's a cool chair, like the wings. Wow, it's interesting. It's like almost like a Mexican folk art, Christian folk art, something like that. Or they adorn. I've had some Mexican Christian relics where there's like a wooden cross adorned with tiny little charms and stuff. It's beautiful folk art. Want to get floored? More complicated 1990s gear. Now, folks, your phone can do pretty much everything. Can you believe that? I don't like it though, because phones now are like integral part of our life, and the government knows that. So it's like, I don't know. I dare you to throw away your cell phone. Yeah, it's like, could I? It's like I do eBay and YouTube and Instagram. It's like I live in a small town, you know what I mean? I do DoorDash. It's like, why is EJ this self-called, great bass player? I think I'm a great bass player. I worked hard. Doing DoorDash. Well, I live in a small town. You know what I mean? There's no gigs, and the economy is crappy. You know, if you're a musician, you gotta get to the New York or LA. I lived in Shanghai, China. It's kind of like the LA of China. Because there's millionaires and billionaires everywhere, literally everywhere. At all your gigs, I was working, 7 nights a week for 11 years. And you're doing an album? Oh, here's let me know how much. They want to sponsor it, and you don't have to pay them back because they're so rich. They just want to be a part of, like a philanthropist, something creative, because they might have some hardcore. They might be like a lawyer, some big firm, something really boring, and they want to have some kind of artistic outlet, and you're their vessel for that, and that's cool. But in a small town, you're not finding that. So my phone is like my periscope to the outside world, as I'm sure it is for you, right? Wherever you are. Complicated Digitech gear. Paul Reed Smith. This is $2,100. That seems cheap. For the DC Standard and Amber Serrero. So this will be a guitar-centric My Paper Time Machine if you haven't cut on already, because it's a Guitar World magazine. But there's a lot of pop culture here too. So 1998, this cost $2,000. That seems cheap. Gibson. In China, they have a knockoff brand called Gibson. It's funny. All right, those are double cutaways. Why are they called double cutaways? Because this part is cut away and so is that. So you can get your little fingers down there and wiggle them. Jalapeno green. That was a 90s color. People always talk about 90s and teal, which it was. Teal was an integral part of the 90s. But jalapeno green. You ever see a Del Sol, Honda Del Sol, that green color? I want one. More complicated pedals made of plastic, which they should not have been. These broke really easily. Like any kind of pedal made of plastic, it's just not good. I don't remember this brand though, Zoom. I know the brand Zoom, but I don't remember these pedals. Got tone. Provocative 1990s in your face advertising. Questioning your ability to produce tone. These things just looked complicated. I'm a bass player, but look at these freaking things. Look at that, there's too many knobs. I mean, jeez. I think it was just, I don't know. It's just a lot of knobs to be dealing with in your Johnson, if you ask me. What else we got? Some more Paul Reed Smith. So we got Ozzy Osbourne coming up from John Fogerty, Randy Rhoads, Appreciation, Anthrax, and Jimmy Vaughn. So stay tuned. Let's see. So this is just tattoo side note. This is Rancid. I guess this guy's in Rancid, late 90s. This is like, like, whoa, guy's got tattoos on your face. That's hardcore. You know what I mean? You're a hardcore gangster or you're a hardcore punk guy or whatever. But now everyone's got tattoos on their face. You go to like Walmart, it's like everyone, like the lady at checkout, has got tattoos on her face. The kindly gentleman at the post office has tattoos on his face. They're everywhere. You know what I mean? Tattoos have gone from rebellion to almost like conformity. But I like tattoos because it puts artists to work. I wish musicians could work at like Starbucks across the nation or the world. Imagine if Starbucks hired bands. Come on, they're like on every street corner, no matter where you are in the universe. Starbucks. If they just like hired a band every night, how cool would that be? I like these Fender amps. like a tweed cover. I want to find an old Fender Bassman. Those cost a ton of money, like a 1951 Fender Bassman. They sound magical, but they cost like thousands. I'd love to find that in the back of a barn. Or like an antique mall. Old lady be like, $300. I'll ask $300. It's a lot of money, and I'll be like, $300? Yoink! I wouldn't sell it. I would just keep it. What we got? Metallica reissue, remastered reissue. That's so funny. This is when they were clean cut and it bugged everyone because they just cut their hair like what was that band? Blind Eye Cherry or Three Doors Down or those 90 bands. The sobby frontman, like the handsome yet emotional. Wasn't quite emo, but like an emotional frontman. What was that band called? Not Candlebox. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, what was that song? It'll come to me. Excuse me. Cool Gibson. This is just more stuff about our 6-string guitars. Guitars have 6 strings. If you're from Brazil, they have 7 strings, sometimes more. I play a Fuel. Wow. I haven't heard some of these band names in a long time. Les Claypool, Primus. What do I think about Les Claypool? I think he's great. He's a stylist. I mean, if someone was like, hey, let's play a Les Claypool, Primus song, I'd be like, okay, well, I got to practice that. 'Cause he's so stylistic. Meaning his sound is so unique, And I saw some interviews with him where he's talking about the challenges of singing and playing at the same time. It is super hard. Like, I can play drums and sing at the same time, no problem. But when it comes to bass, it occupies the same part of your brain. It's hard to do those two things at once. So, like, when I see guys like Sting or like Les Claypool playing these crazy bass lines and singing, they have to practice. And like, it all boils down to this, folks. You got to practice. There's no magical, fairy dust to sprinkle over your noggin to make you be able to do it. You just got to practice, You just got to do it. Even that's what they're famous. They just did it, You can be famous too. You just got to do it. You just got to practice. What is this? Professional guitar workshops. I'm practicing all the time. It's a mountain you'll never climb. And if you think you've climbed it, you're at the bottom. The second you think you've climbed it, automatically demotes you to the bottom of the mountain. So, what is this? It says me. Vintage rock, Hendrix, Jimmy Page, what is this? Some kind of like, there's so many words on this page, these pages, I can't figure out what this is. That's the guy from the UK, Gallagher from Oasis. There's like a jam, like a player along thing. Anthrax, right? It's like nowadays, like in 2025, every guy has got tattoos all over him. Like back then, like the Anthrax, like you were some heavy metal motherfucker, you got tattoos. At the mall, people would like step back and check themselves before they wreck themselves. back in the 80s and 90s. And then now, like, every guy has tattoos on their arms and on their legs. You know what I mean? At the library, your doctor, you know. I'm cool with that, but just funny how it's become like almost a symbol of conformity. Whereas like way back in the day, like in like the 40s, like my dad's really old. He was born in like the 40s. To him, like tattoo, he's perplexed about this, about my tattoos and society's tattoos. He's like, everyone's got them. I was like, everyone's got them. Because back in his day, it was like a drunken sailor thing. You know what I mean? Like the drunk sailors would get tattoos. And then it was a thing guys did in the army, and then it was like a biker thing, and then like a rock thing, and then heavy, you know, it progressed. And now like every other store, it's like Starbucks, tattoo parlor. Starbucks, tattoo parlor. But I'm cool, you know, that's why, back to my point of, that's why Starbucks has to hire bands, because they don't have tattoo parlors hiring artists and Starbucks hiring bands. I saw Jimmy Ray Vaughan, my buddy Mike, and his dad back in the 90s. It could have been around this time, actually. Because I remember he looked like this. He's aged a little bit. He was amazing. Him and his brother are so talented. Wow. I had to read this. Parker Fly. I knew a guitar. Wow, look at that Strat. That is awesome. Look how, I love, like, I have a bass this color, like this butterscotch. It's all beat up. Oh, man, I love that. New guitars bug me. A, because there's a plethora of used guitars being neglected, waiting to be played. And there's too many trees being cut down for new guitars. It's like, just go buy a damn used one. You know what I mean? I love used everything. Because it's too much new shit. And the new stuff's never made as good as the old stuff. Seldom is. Parker Fly. These were like a very versatile. I'm not sure if they're still made. They made a few basses, but mostly guitars. My friend had one back in the 90s. We played jazz gigs on them, and it sounded good. What is this? Taylor. I know that brand. So I listened to a comparison of Martin. I've always wanted an old Martin. And I thought, well, maybe a Taylor could be cool too. And I listened to a comparison of a guitarist playing a Taylor and then a Martin. And the Martin sounds warmer and the Taylor sounds brighter. A little bit more modern. The Taylor's like more modern and brighter, whereas the Martin was warmer and more traditional. That's what I took from it. They both sounded great, though. See, look at this attitude. Now this is the guy at Trader Joe's, the guy or your doctor or your dentist. Your dentist probably has more tattoos than this, actually, but less attitude. You know what I mean? This is like back then, and then even in the 90s, like these guys are hardcore. Look at all these fucking tats. Look at all this ink, and now every other guy has more than this. You know? Fuck up. This is great. You can just stare at all the free. I love, man, backstage at clubs, all the random writing and stuff. Rancid. This is 1998, folks. Wow. See, it's good I do these My Paper Time Machines in the daytime or morning, because at night I'm so tired. You can always tell when I record one of these, because if it's a short one, it's night and I'm tired. But during the day, I just got, I can just have a cup of coffee and just talk away. So if you're chopping your broccoli, this is your kind of video. Nowadays videos are really short. I make shorts and on Instagram, or reels and shorts. But sometimes you want to chop some broccoli. You know what I mean? Maybe it's Thanksgiving, you're preparing Thanksgiving meal. What are these things? Yamahas. I don't remember these. So by the way, the Yamaha symbol is, those are 3 ding tuning forks or pitchforks. You use to tune a guitar, bass, or whatever, violin. Those are 3 of them. There you have it. Wow, look at these weird bridges. Guts and... I don't remember this series. It's kind of cool looking. I don't know. Ozzy left us. Man, I think he knew he was going to go, because he did that last show for his fans. It seemed like a month or 2 before he passed. He had to sit in a chair. They made him like a special chair. he knew. Either he just knew it, that his time was up, or a doctor's like, Ozzy, you got like a month left. And it's cool that he gave it to the fans because, you know, think about it. I mean, a lot of these rock stars, they should be dead. I mean, not to be like mean or morbid. There's so much drugs and alcohol. I mean, I remember I watched something about like Duff McKagan, from the bass player from Guns N' Roses. He said like for a decade, like in the 80s, he didn't drink water. He just never drank water for 10 years. And now, and then he invested like $1,000 in Starbucks or something like that, and now he's worth like he's like the richest guy, and he's even richer than Axl because of that investment. But those guys, like, they're still alive. So Ozzy, you know, he gave it back to the fans one last show. That was cool. But he was like a lovable guy. You know what I mean? It's just remarkable that rock heavy metal guys, you know, the ones that live, they had a life. You know what I mean? They had kids and a wife and daily obligations. I think that's why that Osbourne show in the 90s, if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. Like, your mom would watch it. You'd be watching it in the basement, like with your siblings or friends, you know, to see Ozzy all like fucked up and stumbling. And then your mom would be watching upstairs to see like the fashion trends of his wife, of a millionaire lifestyle, you know what I mean? Like an influencer, right? Early influencer. That show was big. That was a cultural phenomenon for a hot minute. Ozzy's Ozzy, you know what I mean? He was just a guy. Those guys partied so damn hard. It's amazing they survived. Who's this? This is a super 1990s looking ad. Like that shin thing and the hair, the bleached hair. That's funny. More ADATs, complicated 90s technology. Man, Ozzy. I forget where I was. I think it was out. Was I delivering when I heard Ozzy died? Which is weird because right before that on my YouTube channel, I posted something and I used an Ozzy song, which I've never done before. And then he died like the day before or the day after or something like that. I forget what video I used an Ozzy Osbourne song for on. This is Randy Rhoads, legendary guitarist that worked with Ozzy and a lot of other people that died early. This is like 86 glamour Ozzy. That's so funny. The Ultimate Sin. He's so glamorous. The highlights. Man. And then he had like the round rose. That was like the 90s Ozzy, right? Like the round rose-colored glasses. Man, what a funny guy. He married his wife. And didn't his like daughter like have a head transplant or something like that? Like, they look so much like plastic surgery is ridiculous. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like she looks like her dad, you know, back in the 90s. And then I saw something on Instagram of her now, and I'm like, wait, what? You know, I didn't know they could do like a head transplant. She looks completely different. It's crazy. What is this? Government Mule, Streetwise. Talking about Gibson, the fretboard. Perfect pitch. That means you can hear anything and know what, like oh, you can hear like a door squeak when you open it, and you're like, that's a C sharp. Or like someone could sneeze, and be like, oh, that's kind of like a B flat almost, you know. Or like, it means you can identify any pitch perfectly without question, like that. Just like as you and I, if you're not colorblind, can see a color like, oh, that's green instantly. You don't have to think, oh, what color is that? You know it's green. So perfect pitch is the same thing with pitch. I had some friends that had it in college. We had dictate. I don't have perfect pitch. I have a good relative pitch, meaning I can sometimes guess the correct pitch, or if not guess it, I have to, from memory, I have to use some kind of device in my brain to figure out that pitch. Anyhow, and I've gotten faster at it as I gotten older. But I had some friends. I was a music major at a music conservatory or music school. It wasn't a conservatory. And part of your music theory training is dictation, where the professor plays a melody, a 4-part melody on the piano, and you have to sit there with a blank piece of music paper and just write it out musically, you know, standard music notation. And I could do that. But you made some mistakes. But the guys that I was so envious of were the perfect pitch ones because they could just do it. I mean, it was like, oh, it was just like, duh. I had to like work out my way to do it, but they can just do it like nobody's business because to them it was just easy as 1, 2, 3. So this is what this is. Like you learn perfect pitch, but that's relative pitch. See, relative pitch. Perfect pitch, but that can also be, it's a blessing and a curse, I've heard, because yeah, if you're a musician, you never have to ask what key that song's in. You never have to ask what note that is because your ears will tell you instantly. And 100% correctly all the time. That's why it's like intimidating, sometimes to work with someone with perfect pitch because there's no BS. They know what note that is. But the curse part is, I've heard from folks that have perfect pitch is, if you're driving on a car, like in the highway, and the car's like, and to you and me, it's just like a drone. But to them, they're like, the C sharp is a little bit flat, and it's driving me insane. Like, it's like, you know what I mean? Like, or if it clashes with the song on the radio, it's a lot more acute to them. It drive you crazy. Men of Steel. Ozfest. Is that still around? I'm out of the loop. Crates. They were amp makers, really prevalent in the 90s. I don't even know if they're still around. Blue Voodoo. We're down in the basement of the Alamo today. I'll probably be doing more of these videos because it's getting colder outside. So I move my Vintage Classic Solutions business more inside. Everything's inside now. So I'm more prone to do this stuff because I rediscover things that I've bought throughout the year and, more complicated 1990s gear. Valve tone, that could be good. Extra tone. Proud John Fogerty, great American songwriter. Man, that guy is a hit machine. And his vocals could cut through steel. I think the modern day equivalent to John Fogerty could be like a Chris Cornell. Because Chris Cornell, the more you learn about him, he was integral part of Soundgarden, writing material, and he played a lot of instruments. But his voice could just cut through steel, just like John Fogerty's. And this guy could sing. Bass player, Stu Cook. All right. Washburn, they were more prevalent. I think they're still around. That's an odd shape. Maybe ergodynamic. I feel like they were more prevalent in the 90s, late 90s, but they might still be around. PV. I love the old pointy logo. What else we got? Billy Joel Armstrong. I think before he became a politician. I hate when guys do that, musicians. It's like, just entertain us with your damn music. Doesn't make sense. You bring your no matter what side of the aisle you're on. You know what I mean? It's like, do you want to like alienate half of your potential audience? Think about the most iconic one. I don't know. Who are these guys? What is that guitar? It looks like it's like gold flakes with like embedded in like acrylic paint. That's weird. Are those P90 pickups? You can tell I've been watching a lot of guitar interviews because I'm getting some of the guitar lingo down, like P90s maybe. Crybaby. That's a wah-wah pedal. Those are super famous. If you're a guitar player, you know that. Foghat. Review. Pardon me. Reviews of various albums. System of a Down. How many stars they got? They got 4.5 stars. That band's sweet. They had like a new sound when they came out. They had a new thing. Kramer. I like these simplistic 90s looking guitars. They're built so well. When I was younger, like in the 90s, I didn't like these, but now I can appreciate them a bit more. More complicated 1990s technology. This is a Yamaha mixer of some sorts, 8-track recorder. Jimmy Vaughn. I don't want to say Jimmy Ray Vaughan, but it's Jimmy Vaughn. Oh, blockbuster music. On tour. See? Whoa, I think it's the tour I went to. Holy crap. With my buddy Mike and his dad. I'll have to verify that with him. That's amazing. It's probably this, I don't know. It could have been a year. It could have been, I don't know. Wow. This is where you want to be, out there. He was with, oh, maybe not. Because when I saw him, it was B.B. King was the headliner, and Jimmy, I see what Jimmy Ray Vaughan. Jimmy Vaughn opened up for the blues legend B.B. King. So this might not have been the tour, but this is the era. Wow. What is this? Dean Markley rock and roll. The guitar strings. You're gonna hear some sounds down here in the basement. The heater and the water or whatever, and you know, that's the way it is. TC Electronics. Oh wow, I have an amp of theirs. I didn't know they were around that long. I thought they were more of a, I guess this is Y2K. I mean, this is 1998. I started seeing TC Electronics when I was living in China at recording studios and like practice rooms. Probably around, I don't know, 2007. I bought one. I bought like for like a backup head, a TC Electronics head. It sounds pretty good. Fernandez is very 1990s. Men wearing hats, jumping with glasses on. It was a very 1990s thing. We all did this. The plaid pants, that was more of a West Coast thing, but men did this in the 1990s. We jumped with hats. Samick, Whammick, Mackie. I think we had a Mackie. Whoa, brings back memories. I think I was in a jam band in Youngstown, Ohio, when I was going to college down there for music. And I think we had a Mackie PA system. Because now it just brings that font, brings back that memory. Folks, when you make a logo for your company, don't make it hard to fucking read. Man, your Landry sounds great, man. Hey, what was that guy playing? It sounded really awesome. That guy, the beard, he was playing a Larnary. How you spell that? Fucking, I don't know, dude. You know what I mean? Like, don't make it hard. Don't make it hard, folks. You work hard to make your guitar look pretty and sound amazing. That's Larravee's. It's a Larravee? Man, I thought it was a Lair in... I don't know. You know what I mean, though? Don't make it... If you have a company, no matter what you sell, don't make it hard for folks to identify your name. Otherwise, they would be like, where'd you get that from? Like, I don't know, that place, that thing. You work too hard, folks. You work too hard. What is this? Seven Dust. Oh my God, that's a 90s band. Seven Dust. Red Dog. Holy shit, that was the cheapest beer. I used to drink that in college. Red Dog. Oh my God. Red Dog. Oh dear. The Cure for the Common Guitar. Dean. What is this? Tech Invasion. More extremely complicated 1990s gear right there, folks. I think I even knew it. I don't even know what the hell the thing is. You look at it for a minute, you're like, oh, it's one of these, or it's one of those. I don't know what the hell this is. You put your fingers in there? I don't know. Rickenbacker. I never played a Rick. I kind of want to. You don't see them. I mean, you just don't see Rickenbacker. I'm a bass player. You don't see Rickenbacker basses on the wall at your local music store. Even copies I don't see. You know what I mean? What is this? Tomasic. I used to use Tomasic strings on my upright bass. Spiral chorus. A poster. Randy Rhoads. That's a great couch. That's so 80s. and it smelled. You know the smell. If you're there, you're there. You know, Jackson. These are sweet. These are like fine instruments. Man. And then on the back, you got 1990s Creedence Clearwater Revival. I love that band. Man, look at that. All those people. That's got to be something. Let's see what else we got. This is 1998, folks. My Paper Time Machine, Guitar World Magazine. Dweezil Zappa, Seymour Duncan. They make really good guitar pickups. Those are the things that that pick up the vibration of your strings, if you don't know. These little bars, they come in different shapes and sizes, but a guitar pickup or bass pickup is a little device that picks up the vibration of your strings and then amplifies it through your amplifier, in a nutshell. Okay, more extremely complicated 90s gear. Derek Trucks, wow, he looks young. I met him once in Shanghai. We drank together at a bar. I was playing a gig. So Eric Clapton was in town. I was living in Shanghai and performing all the like 6 nights a week as a musician, various bands and stuff. And I was playing with this really good Chinese band, like a Chinese jazz. We mixed like Chinese fusion, like Chinese folk music almost, and modern jazz. But like the guys have gone on to like become famous. So it was a great band, really talented. And Clapton was in town the same night, and then we were playing in this club, not where Clapton played, but like in a jazz club. And then we looked up. It was late. We played. It was around like midnight, and I looked up. There was like a second floor. You can see the balcony of where people would get tables and drink. And I saw Derek Trucks up there with like his people. I'm like, holy shit, they're checking us out. You know what I mean? So but Eric wasn't there. But it was Derek Trucks and the guy named Doyle, who was kind of a douche. Derek was awesome, but the guy Doyle was like kind of pissed off at me because I didn't know who he was. He's like, you don't know who I am? Like he was like I don't know, he was like a douchebag. But Derek was cool as fuck. He was like he was like talking to your old buddy, like on the couch, you know, drinking beer, talking about like how him and his wife are having the guy that built Jimi Hendrix Electric Ladyland was building his studio in his backyard, his own studio, and I'm like, damn, that's gotta be awesome. But he was awesome. He was like a down to earth guy, and a mega talented guitarist. GHS strings. I didn't find him, and like we wanted to smoke some weed at night, and there's always a Muslim guy in the front of the club that would be like selling cigarettes and kebabs, but you'd be like, hey buddy, you got any hash? And you'd be like, yeah, and then you'd buy it off him and go in the club and get high. But the guy wasn't there that day or that night. It was like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. The hash guy was gone, so I couldn't smoke with Derek. But we had a fun time hanging out. That was sweet. This gotta be like 2011-ish, 2010, maybe 2012. What's all this stuff? What is all this stuff? All right, now, what is this stuff? Oh, tab books. Okay, so tab is like this. It's a way of notating music in a simpler form, but there's drawbacks. Like the lines represent the strings of the guitar, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the fingers represent the frets, I think. But you can't get the rhythm. This is standard English notation. I can read the rhythms, but in this, you can figure out the notes, but not the rhythms. When I was in China, there's a method, or there's a system kind of like this. It's like a Chinese tab. I don't know. But it does help. It can, like, if you're like totally lost, it can help you. Like, if you can't read music, this can get you like on the right track to learning your song. So it does have, of course, a use. Limp Bizkit, Counterfeit. So the back is where they feature not live music, sheet music for your favorite songs of the day. They got the bass line. I love that too. Ozzy. Mr. Crowley. The lyrics. This is great. I mean, this is really. I remember like in the '90s, like if you're in a band or you want to learn a song, like a certain song. This is before the internet. You got to wait for the song to like get in one of these magazines. If you didn't have the time or the ability to learn to sit down, maybe you didn't have the album on record or on CD, you know, to sit down and like figure it out, write it down. But this was like this gave you that ability. Smashing Pumpkins. Let's see. Zoot Suit Riot, Cherry Poppin' Daddies. That was like that '90s swing revival. I remember like being in the '90s. You know, I was a student of jazz and playing jazz almost full time in my teens. By 16, I was working as a jazz bass player in Cleveland. I never had like a job at McDonald's. You know, it was just like once I got my bass playing together in the upright, I was like working with like guys way better and way older than me. But it was awesome. So that's how I made my money up until I was 35 when I moved back to a small town. Journey, oh, Any Way You Want It. That's a wedding staple, wedding band. Good variety of songs in the back of this Guitar World, and then you get the Fogerty follow up with interview. Wow, rare compact discs. So let me just give you an idea of what these cost back in 1998. These rare discs, live in Luxembourg, Bob Dylan, $55. Black Sabbath, Under Wheels of Confusion, 70 through 87, a 4-box set, $55. Black Sabbath live at the Universal Amphitheater, 1994, $60 probably with shipping or more. That was, media was expensive because you couldn't just go online and watch it freely whenever you want for free. It was like you had to buy it, and or know someone that had it. What is this? Guitar Anthology Series. Now the back we got the little ads, mom and pop shops and makers and schools. Picks. Sometimes there's some good stuff. Help Wanted. Sometimes those could be funny. For sale. Cable Descrambler Kit. Only $14.95. Collectibles. What is that? Guitar collectors. All right. Genesis by Modulus. It's like a Rickenbacker. Complicated 90s gear. These things are just sitting at the bottom of people's closets around the country. I'll tell you what. Boss. Now, these are good pedals. I have those everywhere. Like a standard Guild. They're pretty legendary. I wouldn't mind having a Guild bass. Yamaha. This one they got digital in the late 90s. And they always broke and stuff. I remember guitar players always complaining about their reliability. Carvin. Sammy Hagar. What are these? What are these? Reverend? I don't know. Cabinet Fever. Guitar lessons. More ads. Ebo. That's an electric device that you hold it over your guitar string and it makes it vibrate and like sustain like a bow of a violin. All these cool t-shirts. You gotta love that. Looking through these things, they're all worth a lot of money now. If I said it before, if you had all these t-shirts and sold them, you could probably take a family of 5 out to eat at a mediocre restaurant. That's how valuable these shirts have become. Let's see. Is that Whoopi Goldberg? No. Who is that? Oh, T.M. Stevens. This is a weird ad. It's a space different. Who's T.M. Stevens? He played with Joe Cocker and played with the Pretenders. Answer my question. T-shirts, posters. Victor Wooten was it? Steve Smith, Scott Henderson, Randy Rhoads. 1956 to 1982. Oh, that was early. So that, I used to have this Korg tuner. Wow, it was a good one. So that's it, folks. 1998 Ozfest featured in this Guitar World magazine. There'll be more. Hope you like that. And as always, thanks for checking in.